everybody, and welcome to our Assessing Learning Summary discussion. My name is Karen, and we are with...
Maria! Hello. Hi, Karen. How are you doing?
I'm very good. I'm just going to have to connect Instagram for a moment, if
Yes,
you can
no problem.
welcome everybody.
Yes, no problem at all. So, hi, everyone. So, yes, as Karen just said, this is I'm Maria, and I'm in Melbourne. Karen, I think, is in Spain, if I'm not wrong. And let us know where you're from. So, if you've joined us here today, just let us know in the chat, where are you coming from, and maybe let us know what you've been up to. And we look forward to interacting with you today. We're going to be sharing a lot about what's been going on in the last 3 months. Yes, as Karen said, this is the summary of the theme, assessing learning. And there's been so much going on in the community, and also in the Courses for Teachers community, which is where I'm from. And I'm really keen to share some of the things that we've been doing there. So we've got Ezra from Egypt. Hello, Ezra. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so everything is set up now, and we've got loads. We've got lots of people joining us on Instagram, which is fantastic. So welcome to all of our Instagram followers. We are also live streaming to YouTube, so welcome to everybody there, and also to Facebook. So Maria, I thought we would start off by talking about some of the sort of main topics of conversation that we've had on our community, Global Teachers of Community page on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So one of the main popular topics was on definitions. And we had some definitions that created quite a lot of conversation. One of them was about washback. What is washback? Washback. So washback is when you're teaching something and it has an effect on what you get tested on. So quite often this leads to teachers teaching to the test.
Yes.
Did you do that? I mean, I know I've done that.
Yeah, no, it's hard to avoid because the tests are very important. And you want your students to do well, and the students wanted to do well as well, and they expect to be prepared for the test as well. But then I guess the problem is that it can be quite boring for students. Yeah, especially if all we're doing is test prep. Yeah, and just giving our students sample tests, doing sample test after sample test, and they don't, and it can kind of take away from them actually sort of developing sort of language skills sort of more generally, and they kind of associate anything that they do just with the test, and then the test is over and they've forgotten everything.
That sounds very familiar to me. So we asked the community what they do either to sort of overcome some of this, or maybe really to balance more. How do you balance between this washback effect of teaching to the test and also providing some meaningful input? So some of the teachers were talking about using sort of exam style questions, but putting more meaningful content into them. Are there any things that you've come across from the courses of teachers talking about that kind of thing?
That actually in the Courses for Teachers community, that did come up as well, and there was some similar to what you've just said. There were some suggestions about a similar thing, really, that teachers try to take examples from tests, the kind of items that students will need to complete in a test, and then incorporating that into sort of a more general lesson. So, like, for example, if they're teaching, they want to teach students to talk about the past, and in a particular test, they might it might be a speaking test where students are asked questions about themselves. So then there'll be a little bit of practice at the end, and then the teacher will sort of highlight to the students that, oh, well, this is something that you might get in the test. This is something that might come up in the test. So they've got, like, as you say, that meaningful input about how to talk about themselves in the past. But then it's kind of tied together with an example from a test. So yeah,
exactly,
really.
Yeah, and I think it's quite possible to join the two together. But it generated quite a lot of discussion. I don't know if any teachers watching. Do you remember the discussion? All the discussions on teaching to the test. Yeah. I just wanted to give a big shout out to some of the people who are watching us. We have here. I don't know if you can see that. It's the top now.
Yeah. A lot of people.
Yes, exactly. Indonesia. We've got Yahai from Algeria, and here's from Sandalewin from Myanmar, and Bangladesh, and we have lots of people. We've got is Fatima. We're doing good, I think. We're doing well.
Yeah. I think Fatima, I've seen you in the courses for teachers, if I'm not wrong.
Wonderful. Nice. We've got lots of teachers here from all over the world. Welcome, everybody. It's wonderful to see you. So teachers watching, what have been some of your highlights from the theme? What do you remember from some of the topics we've been discussing on assessing learning? So we asked some community questions over this last few months. One of the questions was, should teachers do the same exams as their learners? What do you think of that?
Oh, do you know what? Yeah, actually, I worked in the place where essentially what we did was prepare students for the academic tests like the PTE and the IELTS.
Oops.
And what I didn't do it, but a lot of the teachers that I worked with, they took the test, and it was really eye-opening how difficult it is to get a good score in IELTS.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of us teachers who have been teaching students to prepare for IELTS were, not getting 8s.
Yes. Well, I remember doing an exam many years ago, the same ones that my students were doing, and it gave me such a good insight into, I don't know, like, it's not that easy. And so as I did the exam, I was making notes on what my strategies were and how I was approaching the questions, and that helped me prepare the teachers. Here's a comment here from Suzanne. Yes, teachers should complete the exams.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. So I think it's kind of also there's I also believe that when you're teaching a language, you should also have experience learning a language. It's a similar thing. I think it's really important for teachers to have that experience as a language learner, because that really helps you to relate to your students, your learners' experiences as a language learner too.
It gives so much insight, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
We also asked, what would you be if you weren't a teacher?
Oh,
yes,
hard, isn't it?
We got a whole range of answers from comedian, singer, vet, architect, doctor, nurse, psychologist, newscaster, lawyer, gardener, one of my favorites, students, and quite a lot of teachers saying they would still be teachers, which I thought was very, 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 very encouraging. This is Suzanne again, is saying, oftentimes the teacher may catch cultural context or particularly difficult questions that they can expose the students to in regular lessons. I think, when the teachers do the exams. And there's one from Fatima. Yes, the more we teach language, the more we learn. That's for sure.
Yes, that's right. About all kinds of things.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We also, there's a question here from Laghal Hamdad. What are methods of assessment? So I think you've talked about that in the courses as well. And we talked about it a lot in the community on our social media about, especially we were doing some looking at assessment for learning and assessment of learning, like summative and formative. And I just want to bring up a slide, if I can find the right one. I think it's this one. This is what a summary from our theme, preparing learners for summative assessment. So what's summative assessment, Maria?
Yeah, so it's a sort of more formal assessment that's done at the end of the course to find out what students have learnt. Often it's graded, so it's not used to really. I mean, it could be potentially, but it's not necessarily used to inform teaching and learning going forward. So yeah.
So this is what people were talking about. About using different contexts and having an integrated approach. A follower in Lebanon says, I follow topics in context, then integrate exam-related training at the end of each theme, which is a very wonderfully practical suggestion.
Yeah, and which is what we were talking about earlier. Yeah.
That's right. Yes, exactly. That's right. Oh, here are some teachers. More teachers are joining us. Pascal, welcome. And Elena and Barbara and Gadarif, welcome.
Welcome, everyone.
So we've been talking about a lot of different things in our, on our social media side. What about in the courses, Maria? What have been your hot topics in the courses?
Oh, everyone, I have to say, it's been an amazing 3 months in the Courses for Teachers community. And I know that some of you are part of that community, but if you're not, please join us because it's such a really special place. So much has been going on because, as you know, there have been 10 courses running simultaneously.
That's a lot.
Yes. So, yeah, that is a lot. So the Assessing Learning obviously has been the main course, but we've had a whole host of other courses related to how to teach speaking, how to teach grammar, teaching English in primary, teaching English through literature, courses about integrating digital technologies, inclusive classrooms, helping teachers to learn and teaching English to refugees and displaced learners are another 2 courses, which are actually continuing into October. But the rest that I've just mentioned are actually coming to an end at the end of this month, sadly.
That's a big range of courses.
Yeah, a really big range. But there's been a little bit of overlap as well. And what's really special about the community is that it's a really great opportunity for teachers to share ideas, to share not just ideas, but also questions. Sometimes we have questions as teachers. We're not sure about how to do something. So there have been a lot of really great questions that have been shared. And
have you got any examples?
Yes. Okay, yeah, I want to give you an example. One of the questions was to do with multilingual classes and how can we make the most of the multiple languages that we have in the classroom, and how can we build connections amongst our students through those languages. And I just wanted to share a really lovely example from a teacher who talked about how she uses, I guess in a way, all students' languages in a kind of humorous way. So she was talking about how she uses idioms. So she gives an example of an idiom. So she gave an example of like, it cost me an arm and a leg. And she gets her learners, so she gets her learners to tell their version of that idiom but translated in English. So she was saying that in Serbian, for example, it comes out as, it cost me like St. Peter's scrambled eggs. So the students are like able to share that and appreciate sort of the diversity of the languages, like through laughter, but also is quite meaningful as well, because, you know, she was saying that they're able to appreciate the uniqueness of each other's languages as well.
That's a fantastic idea. That's lovely. Yeah.
So you see, you get these great ideas that you know you may never have thought of, and these are all shared by teachers in the community.
And like practical tips and ideas for the classroom.
Yeah, exactly. And not just practical tips. Yeah, there have been a lot of practical tips, obviously, which are really important, but also just insights that teachers share as well, which I think are great. Like there was a question related to teaching in primary, which I think a lot of us here are primary teachers. Let us know in the comments if you're a primary teacher. But we did ask our teachers what's the hardest. What's the hardest thing about teaching in primary? And obviously, you know, there's a lot of challenges about teaching in primary, especially if you're teaching very large classes, which was another thing that came up in the community.
Oh, that comes up for us as well, yes. Assessing large classes, you know, how do you do that?
Yeah. And also managing large classes, that came up a lot as well. But yeah, with this particular question, you know, a lot of teachers were sharing about the challenges and they're making suggestions how they manage that particular challenge. But also what I think is lovely, there were a few teachers who were sharing insights, like positive insights as well. So there was a teacher who said, you know, I never think in terms of the hardest. I think as positive as I can. Maybe there are some difficulties, but step by step, we can solve them, which I thought was a really, really lovely thing to share with everyone.
That's a lovely thing to share. Yes, you know, it can be difficult sometimes, but we get there together. Here's a question for you. This is from Clementine. I have one question. Everyone joining teaching free courses. I think are they free?
Yes, of course they're free. Yeah, so we encourage you to join them. So the courses that I just mentioned earlier, as I said, that they are going to end at the end of this month. But for most of them, you still have until the 23rd of September to enroll. And then you have that extra week to try and complete them. So probably not enough time to get them all done, but there might be a selection that, one or two that you might be able to do in that time. There's a couple that are continuing, as I said, into October. So teaching English to refugees and displaced learners, and also helping teachers to learn. But Karen, we've got a whole lot of new courses starting in October.
Oh, great. Before we come on to that, this is the second part of Clementine's question. She's joining us from YouTube. If you're not a teacher, are the courses useful?
But you want to be a teacher.
And you want to be a teacher, yes.
Look, we've got a lot of new teachers in the community, so who have just started teaching. So I don't see why not. I mean, obviously, it's great if you have the opportunity to be able to apply what you learn through the courses, because they are actually very, very practical courses, practical ideas to implement in the classroom. So if you have that opportunity coming up soon to be able to apply that knowledge and those skills and those ideas, even better. Yeah.
Fantastic. We've got a question here from Gifnash on Instagram. Assessment in learning is essential because every learning experience should lead to some form of change. As teachers, how do we measure and evaluate this change? Now, that's a fantastic question. And we've had lots of discussions, on assessment for learners, summative and formative assessment, and testing, and what is it, and what's the difference between evaluation, measurement, and testing. So do check out our pages, and also check out our Teaching English website, where there's a lot of information on our pathways of assessing learning. So how do we measure and evaluate the change is quite a big question. And we might not have time to go through it all now, but sort of in essence, I think for me, it would be looking at what do you want to show that you've done. And I remember, Maria, very early on, and when we did this 3 months ago, introducing the theme, we talked about measuring success. You know, how do you measure the success and progress of your learners? And it depends, I think, on where they started and where they've got to. So Givnash, do check out a lot of our resources, and more coming soon.
Yeah. So, actually, can I just add, because I know I've said that a lot of the Teaching English courses are ending soon, and that includes the Assessing Learning course. So you may still have time to get in there and enroll and complete that before the end of the month. But also remember, there are the workbooks.
Yes.
And those, if you download those before the end of the month, you can actually hold on to those, and they have a whole pages full of links to other resources that are related to the content in the courses. So get in there quick and download the Assessing Learning workbook.
And I can see that Naomi is busy in the comments there, putting some links for the courses and some of our resources. On Instagram, if you go to our link tree, you'll be able, under the group category of Assessing Learning, you'll find lots of resources there as well. Another big topic of conversation we had was on peer assessment, and I just want to show you the results of a poll here that we asked, is peer assessment effective? But I just want to preface this, that this is the opinions of our global community of teachers and is not necessarily based on academic research. So this is what people think about, is that peer assessment is effective, but it then generated quite a lot of discussion about how do you do peer assessment, because it's not that easy. And so one teacher wrote in and was saying a very important thing is to have a set of very clear criteria. Other teachers were writing in saying that you need to do a sort of practice and train your students to do peer assessment, give them some language for feedback,
we had a similar thing come up in the community, and I remember one teacher saying, yes, in relation to the training the students, I remember her saying something really lovely, and that was about training your students to give positive feedback as well as areas for improvement. So
very important.
Yeah, really, really lovely comment.
Very important. So I think this is connected to Atike Siddiqui's comment from Facebook. How can we teach students to self-assess their language skills effectively? So sort of peer assessment, self-assessment, it comes into the whole area of, sort of informal assessment in a way, checking your own progress. And any tips there, Maria, for teaching students how to self-assess their language?
Yeah, I mean, very similar to what we've just said about peer assessment, but having the clear criteria. Initially, you may have to scaffold it by giving feedback as well on how they've assessed themselves until they kind of get used to doing it. And then it becomes more of a reflective practice for them. And really.
So there's it's sort of quite a lot of learner training in peer assessment, self-assessment, knowing what you're assessing on, for example. There's another, so this is another summary of what the community has been saying about assessment. Focus on a few skills at a time. Rather than giving feedback on everything, monitor one or two key points and guide learners how to improve, and vary assessment types, not just multiple choice, include projects, problem solving. And I think this leads into some of the discussions we had on like sort of hidden assessment, you know, like you can be assessing your students without them knowing it.
Oh, yes.
And I'm not sure if,
Actually, just going back to how to different assessment types and guiding your learners, sort of related to that comment we just looked at, because there was actually a really lovely suggestion in the Courses for Teachers community as well. We had a post related to how do you give students feedback that really helps them.
Great question.
Yeah, and one of the teachers shared that she uses Feed Forward, and she gave an actual example of how she does that. She was talking about how she has a word bank. She gets her learners to contribute to a word. So as they learn new words, they contribute to the word bank, and their word bank grows over the course. And so when she's giving feedback and she wants students to maybe use a different word, maybe there's a more appropriate word to use, anything related to vocabulary, she gives that kind of constructive feedback where she suggests that the student goes and looks at the word bank and there's maybe a better word that you can use there, and encourages the student to go and find a different adjective. And so relating the feedback to things that they've been actually doing in the class. And she said that kind of constructive feedback has been very helpful for her students.
That's such a great idea. I might do that with my students. This is how we get all the ideas, you know, sharing amongst our community with teachers writing in with helpful suggestions. Now, just very briefly, I wanted to mention we also had this last 3 months a series of webinars every month. We started off with a summary of the theme, followed by a webinar on giving feedback and assessing pronunciation. And the question was, what do you look for in pronunciation when you're listening to students? And there were some really interesting discussions about accent and dialects and, you know, what sort of pronunciation, like, you know, your own pronunciation, and really valuing your own pronunciation. So there was some very interesting posts on that. We also had a series of webinars on making primary assessment work, where the teachers were talking about a very simple assessment that you can, a framework that you can use. And like we were talking about before, Maria, you know, looking at how learners are engaging with each other, what words do they know, can they describe something? And so some very simple techniques for that. And we also had a series of assessments, a series of webinars on inclusive assessment, where lots of teachers were sharing their ideas on how you make assessment more inclusive. And you can find all the recordings on our YouTube channel and also on our website. I'm sure Naomi will be helpful there and pop in a few links.
Thank you, Naomi.
Yeah. So, Maria, what can we look forward to? Like, we've had such a busy 3 months on assessing learning. We've covered so many topics, delving deeper into what is assessment, listening to all the tips and ideas and experiences. And now we're coming to an end of assessing learning. It's been, I didn't really ever think assessment could be so interesting at the beginning.
It has been very interesting for everyone in the community as well, in the Courses for Teachers community. So great theme.
Oh, I just wanted to show this as from Gifty. Hidden assessment is necessary because students sometimes are scared of formal assessment. I know for me, I'm quite scared of a formal test as well, and my mind goes a bit blank. So thanks, Gifty, for that hidden assessment advice. So yes, Maria. Oh, sorry, another question for you, Maria. Here is one from Yasmin. How to enroll in the courses? So tell us what's coming up and how might Yasmin join one?
So our new theme for October to December is planning courses and lessons. So we have a whole host of new courses, planning lessons, managing learning, and then some courses on digital skills as well. So digital competencies for teaching English, English in the multilingual classroom.
Excellent.
So as we've seen, that a kind of discussions have already started around that. Climate action in language education. That's a great one, isn't it?
That's a great one.
Teaching English, how to teach writing, how to teach vocabulary. They're always very popular courses. And as I said earlier, there's a couple of courses that are continuing into October up until December and beyond. So teaching English to refugees and displaced learners is continuing well into next year, actually. And helping teachers to learn is continuing till the end of December too. And to enroll, just head on over. I think Naomi is going to put the link. I think she has already put the link in there, the Teaching English website. So check out that link that Naomi's just posted in the chat.
And pinned to our social media channels on Instagram and Facebook is a description, a sort of list of all the courses that are coming up, and you can be able to follow that. In Instagram, head over to our link tree, and under training courses, you'll find a list of all the courses. Yes. Superb. Now, what else is coming up? Something very exciting in October.
Oh, yeah, there's a special event, isn't there?
There is. What is it?
Oh, I've forgotten what it's called. It's Teachers. What is it? Global
World.
Oh, global world.
It is global as well. Yes. World Teachers Day.
Yes,
on World Teachers Day. And we asked teachers recently, how do you celebrate, or what do you do for World Teachers Day in your country? And there were loads of different ways that teachers celebrate World Teachers Day, including one teacher where the students prepare a lesson. Isn't that great?
Amazing.
I know. I love that idea. I think that's a fantastic idea. So
so is it the learners that then deliver the lesson?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's really interesting.
I think that's fantastic. Yeah. There'll be a post about that coming soon. So, we've got actually a couple more questions here here's one from Mahmoud. How can we assess large classes? Now, that's an excellent question. And we've had a couple of posts about those, mainly connected to breaking the class into smaller groups and then going and sort of more observational assessment through tasks and activities, quite similar in a way to how you might also assess like different skills, like the hidden assessment that Gifty was talking about. So a lot of observation and perhaps some checklists as you're walking around. But Mahmoud, we also have a lot of resources as well on our website for that.
Yeah, and also the peer assessment can be very helpful as well. So yes.
And self-assessment.
Yes, as well.
Yes, also. So we've got a question here from Omar. Would you mind highlighting the last technical and effective sample of lesson planning? Well, our next theme, starting in October, is on planning lessons and courses. So there'll be lots and lots and lots of information coming up very soon about planning lessons and courses. Yes.
And you'll be able to enroll on those courses very soon, if not already.
Excellent. Yes, very, very, very soon. So World Teachers Day. World Teachers Day is coming up on the 9th, 10th, and 11th of October. And we have a series of webinars on each day in the morning and the afternoon. And you can register for those on our website. We'll be looking at a whole range of topics from professional development to digital skills. So yes, do join us. We'll also be live streaming them on our social media platforms. And our new theme, planning lessons and courses, we have a What's On the 3rd of October to introduce the theme. So do join us for that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of discussion in the comments about certificates, but Naomi is on that. Here's just a comment from Omar. honors us to enroll in such sessions. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And thank you for coming.
I just wanted to end on a slightly different note. We just asked the questions today for our Friday fun. What happens to all the board pens? Maria, where do all your board pens go? Mine disappear.
Oh, that's so funny because I found a box full of them the other day. I was like, what are these? Half of them are fine and the other half are like, oh. I think the lid kind of came off at some point.
Yeah, I don't know where mine go, and I think there's an invisible mountain somewhere. So Maria, thank you so much for joining us and telling us all what's happening on the courses front. And
thank you for inviting me. And can I just say to the teachers, do come and join us in the Courses for Teachers community on Facebook. We'd love to have you there. And yeah, there's a lot of learning happening in there as well. So come and join us.
Wonderful. Have a lovely weekend. If you're teaching, happy teaching. If you're relaxing, happy relaxing. And we will see you again very, very soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, Karen.
Bye.